Hey, it's Dave and Brandon with Orlando Vacation Homes. We are here today to talk to you about
the crazy market.
It's a crazy market. It's wild.
And especially if you're buying a short-term rental in the Orlando area.
I think really anything, buying like even a loaf of bread, prices have gone up.
Inflation.
Some gas,
Thanks, Obama.
So, yeah, thanks a lot, Obama. Thanks a lot, Trump. Thanks a lot, Putin. No, seriously, our hearts and prayers are with the Ukrainian people. I am a little Russian, and I'm also a lot Polish. And, it's just a very, very sad thing to go through. And it's hard to even think about, business, but business keeps going,
It does. So yeah, with the way the market is now, I'm sure everybody knows that doesn't matter what part of the country you're in, you're going to be dealing with multiple offers, a lot of offers going basically at list price or in about 80% of cases well over asking price. So one good thing that we're seeing with the proximity to Disney and some of these different communities that we're working in, even if you do end up paying a little bit more over the appraised value, per the info that we have from AirDNA, your cap rate is actually still pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, everything, I think, it's important to look at each particular property on its own merits and run the numbers and figure out, where does this stop making sense? When does this start becoming too risky and not enough meat on the bone, so to speak?
Absolutely.
So, when realtors start, coming up with just blanket statements of, now is a great time to, buy, you have to sell, it just feels inauthentic. And it's not, for me, I think it does the general public a disservice, as well as, realtors in general, just saying stuff just to, get a sale. I think the thing for us is looking at the numbers individually and then figuring out a strategy when it comes to making an offer that is reasonable, that's aggressive, but you're not putting your butt out to dry. You're actually still, using some basic strategies that, are going to protect you for the short term, medium term, and however long you're going to have the property,
For sure. And like you said, it's a case-by-case basis, because there's going to be certain communities where the list price comes up, it's going to make sense. But, if it goes to several offers, it might get to a point where you do hit that breaking point where after taxes, insurance, HOA, if you have a mortgage on the property, then it doesn't make as much sense as waiting for something else. So like you said, just realtors saying that there's a blanket statement of, it's now time to sell, or now's the time to buy. It's not always 100% the case as some people make it seem.
Absolutely, Brandon. So, an example of what we saw recently in one of the properties that we really like because of the proximity to Disney and just the overall price point. There was a townhome that was for sale for around $235,000, was it?
Yeah, $225.
$225. And we saw it, and it looked too good to be true. And of course it was. But really, when we get down to the nitty gritty, we have to have these conversations with our customers of course, it'd be great to get it for $225, but is that a reasonable expectation, in this market? Of course, it ended up getting 35 offers, and unfortunately, we didn't get this one. We bid quite a bit higher than the list price, had some really good additional terms, because there are some things that are involved that a seller is going to look at, not just the price. And, obviously working with a seasoned agent is important to figure out all those nooks and crannies of how you can get yourself to at least a expectation of being able to compete. Unfortunately, we were second out of
Out of 35.
35 offers. So,
Yep.
and we weren't even cash. So that was a, pretty good job. I mean, that's not what we're here for, but it does help us sharpen our pencils and learn each time. And you're not going to get every single, deal. But the times that you are that close, there's a lot of intel that you can utilize for the, next offer to,
For sure.
So there's one, for a more of a positive spin. We won a deal last about maybe 3 weeks ago in the same community, and we got in quick. We actually saw the property the day it hit the market within a couple hours. Did a pretty extensive video and basically gave them a price and terms that were really hard to beat in that early time frame. And also, talking with the listing agent and them knowing, our longevity in the business and that this was a solid deal, we were able to get that for our clients. So it's not impossible, to, navigate through this market, but it can be exhausting. I was talking to a new buyer today. His previous agent put in 15 offers for him. And I'm like, dude, like,
how do you lose 15?
That's tough, man. I mean, it's just exhausting. There's the buyer fatigue. That is totally real. There's realtor fatigue too. I've actually experienced that. I'm sure yourself at some points as well.
For sure.
It's a really hard market, and, you have to be reasonable with yourself and set up, reasonable expectations with the buyers, and, really know that you're going into a battle, and you need to have that sniper rifle, or you need to, whatever the, term is or whatever. So I don't like to talk about war terms, especially right now, but, you got to be smart. I'm not going to sit around and throw out 15 offers. We're going to get it done. Like I don't have that much patience. So,
yeah. And it makes more sense to, go ahead and wait until you do find the one that makes sense and be super aggressive on that. Mm-hmm. And like you said, with us winning them and then losing them at the same time, we're able to see exactly where we need to be. And if we're not winning them, we're always in the top 2 or 3. So, having that knowledge, rather than going out and writing 15 offers, mm-hmm. We're going to get it done within the first couple. But,
yeah.
Just know going in, you're going to have somebody that might, get a little bit crazy and they're just ready to get into something. They're coming in with cash. And if you're trying to get it done with a conventional loan and they can close in, 5 or 10 days as cash, it's a little bit hard to compete. So
sure. And the other thing is, just really being in lockstep with your lender partner. And that's something that we're super high on is, having those key relationships and really everybody having a very clear and fluid communication line. So it's not like, oh, well, he said this, and it's all together. If you can have somebody that you really feel confident in, that you can get in touch with on a daily basis, because rates have gone up quite a bit, and townhomes pricing has been just insane recently. So it's important. I think that they're going to get that figured out a little bit, but right now it's just super important to check back in with your lender to make sure that this good deal is still a good deal today as it was last week, and perhaps. Yeah.
And it is also helpful when you have an experienced lender on your team. Mm-hmm. Every listing agent that knows what they're doing is going to be calling and vetting these mm-hmm. conventional or whatever type of financing you are. And if you've got somebody that knows how to not necessarily finesse it, but that can say, I got their documents, I've got everything, I've pulled the credit, they're good to go.
Right.
That'll help you as close as possible compete with the cash.
Yeah.
Because then they can feel comfortable that it's going to get done.
Yeah. And a lot of these, national lenders don't have a lot of experience with short-term rental loans, and they are different. There's going to be certain nuances and different things that they need to check the boxes off. So, finding, a lender is definitely, key. It's just as important as finding a good realtor to work with, I think. So in additionally to, the lending aspect, one thing that's crucial is to figure out how much your buyer actually has for down payment, because especially if it's 25% down plus, approximately 3% for closing costs, does he have or does she have any additional money that could possibly, make up for a gap in the appraisal value versus the purchase price?
Absolutely.
Because one of these, the things that you're going to see and you're going to be competing against is cash offers, as well as folks that will say that they will cover any appraisal gap. So let's say, for example, the place appraises for $255 and you have a purchase price of $265. You can put verbiage in there that basically says you will cover that difference. So it gives the sellers assurance that the deal is still going to go through, just because, they're getting crazy offers. Why would they take, one that's going to be contingent upon appraisal if they have a cash offer that's giving them almost as much? So, getting with your lender and making sure, how much of an appraisal gap can you afford? And then that can help, us as realtors, basically put the deal together so that you're setting each other up for success there. So
for sure. And it is, super important. We get a lot of people that call us from out of state that they're not necessarily worried about their qualification, but they don't hop on and get on with a lender right away to see exactly where everything sits. Mm-hmm. And with how fast everything is moving in the market, mm-hmm. something's going to pop up that you're really going to like. That is a really great opportunity, but we're not going to be able to get in there and compete because we don't have your approval ready. Lender doesn't have your documents. And like we talked about earlier, the agents are going to be calling these lenders to vet these out.
Yeah.
So it is a super important part of the process. Even if you know that you're fine, it's better just to get that pre-approval out of the way and have a good conversation with the lender to know exactly where everything sits.
Yeah.
And like you said, we're going to have more ammo and we know exactly the best offer strategy for you mm-hmm. based off of that.
Sure. And, getting all your docs in, because if I'm the listing agent, I'm not just saying, hey, is he pre-approved? Have you looked at his docs? Have you seen his financials? Are there any, hiccups in this deal, that I need to know about? And if you've, coached your client, they should have already, put in all those docs and gotten that out of the way.
For sure. And with, in addition to that, we talk about some of the best ways that these short-term rentals perform and stand out from others in the community mm-hmm. is updating it and making sure that the pictures look great. And you can do that by, kitchen, bathrooms, flooring. These are the things that are going to set you apart. And knowing how much money you have to play with to be able to do that
sure.
is super important. So that all feeds into what the offer strategy is going to be, because you want to have that money set aside for down payment, appraisal gap, closing costs.
Yep.
And then if it does need that updating.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point, Brandon. And, being deliberate in your, fact finding and figuring all this stuff out ahead of time so you're not putting yourself in a bind. And, I try to coach my clients to look at a house or a condo that has a lot of these upgrades and updates already. Obviously, the more move-in ready, especially if you're, out of state, the better. But we do have to get sometimes a little creative, to find a house or to find a condo that you might not have to overpay $15,000. You might be able to put that $15,000 into new updates and upgrades that will, maximize that, occupancy and that daily rental rate. So it's good to be creative. It's good to work with creative realtors. I mean, you have to just kind of do a lot of different, things that, if a successful agent has to just kind of adapt and, hopefully, that's us, but, obviously just, there's a lot of great agents out there. Just make sure that you're asking the right questions and, if you have strategies together and also finding the right short-term property manager, that's, I think, just as important as finding the right property. So those are, resources that we have to, help our clients with, that we vetted, through the last couple of years. So that's huge. What else? Anything else that we should? I think that's a lot of info.
I think that's good. We could do some other stuff, but if anybody has any other questions, Dave can be reached at
407-234-9744.
And I'm at 407-325-0846. We're going to have all the info down below in the comments. You can reach out to us DM, leave a comment. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer those.
I'm a big fax guy. So if you can find a fax machine and then maybe mail me a fax machine, that would be great. I'd love to do some faxing together.
Yeah, I'm more carrier pigeon.
Okay.
Renaissance Fair.
That's tight.
I'm into that sort of thing. Gets me going.
Yeah, that's what gets you going.
All right. Yeah.
Well, I think the last thing is, it's okay. It's going to be all right. Just try to, get your resources together, come up with a good strategy, and then just go for it.
Absolutely.
Good luck out there, guys.